Okay, it's Henry again, and today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my airbrush tutorial series, and in this video we're going to be covering spray booths. So, a spray booth is basically a fan with a tube coming out the back of it that will suck paint particles and paint fumes away from your work area and out the window. It's a really simple machine. Now, you can buy pre-made spray booths, or you can build your own. I used to have a Mr. Hobby spray booth, the Mr. Super booth, and it worked fine. It worked really well for airbrushing, and I will tell you one thing, that if you decide to buy a spray booth, they are pricey. For basically what's a really simple machine, a fan with a cardboard filter and a plastic tube coming out the back, companies ask a lot of money for these things. I mean, you're looking at least $100 if you buy a complete spray booth. So that's why a lot of modelers decide to just build one themselves. When I moved in my new apartment, I decided to build my own spray booth, which you see right here in front of you. So, before I get into the nitty-gritty, I'll just show you basically how most spray booths are constructed. Now, the main part right here, you'll have a box that'll have a fan inside it. That's the guts of the machine. And then that box will have a hole where you'll connect a plastic or aluminum tube or something that will take the overspray out the window. Everything that is in front of the fan kind of varies depending on what brand spray booth you buy. This right here is how the Mr. Super booth was set up. You had a paper filter which collected paint particles. In front of that you had a cardboard honeycomb filter which also collected paint particles. And then in the very front you had a plastic kind of hood that sort of funneled the overspray towards the fan. Some companies will have more like a plastic box shape. I've even seen some spray booths that were collapsible, where you could just undo the clips and the whole thing folded up for storage. So definitely a lot of different options if you want to buy one. But like I said earlier, a spray booth is such a simple machine that they're actually pretty easy to build. Move this out of the way. So here's mine. I'll just back up and show you the whole thing right here. Basically what I did is I took an old computer desk that I wasn't using anymore, and then this whole back section was open, so I put cardboard to keep the overspray from getting away from the desk. As you can see, this thing is mostly constructed with duct tape. So and back here I've got a window fan. This is just like a little double window fan that I got from Walmart. It was, I think $28 maybe. Not very expensive. It's got a low and a high setting. And I was at the craft store and they had rolls of burlap just for, crafty things. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, that would make a pretty good filter for my spray booth. So I have a piece of burlap here as the fine filter, and I know I said that Mr. Super booths were expensive, but the cardboard filter for Mr. Super booth is only like $5. So I bought one of those, and I've got it right there. And they don't really clip in, they're not permanently affixed, but they just sort of lean in there and it works. And they're actually working really well, because as you can see, there is very little paint on this fan. There's just a little bit here on the grating, but not much at all. This double filter is doing a really good job of keeping the paint from getting through. And then around back here, I've got an aluminum dryer duct hose that I got at Home Depot, and that just goes right out the window there. So really simple construction. I would suggest, if you want to build one, go on YouTube and just search for do-it-yourself spray booth or homemade spray booth or something like that. because I've got probably the most redneck spray booth you will ever see. I mean, it's constructed with duct tape, so. But there's people who build them out of like plastic or wood or fiberglass, and some really, really nice looking spray booths you can find on YouTube, and probably some better construction instructions than what I just showed you. Let's see, one thing I do want to mention about spray booths is that they work great for airbrush. My Mr. Super booth was great for airbrush. This one does fine. Spray cans, not so much. Spray cans produce a lot more overspray and a lot more paint fumes than airbrushing does. So the fan in this Mr. Super Booth and even the double fan in the one I'm using now just can't handle all of the overspray from spray cans. So anytime I need to use spray cans, which isn't that often anymore, I do that outside. So definitely want to do that. Also, you're going to want to get some sort of respirator. Basically, it's just a little mask that goes over your mouth and your nose, and they have little cartridges that you change out every now and then whenever they get clogged up with paint. So if you value your lungs at all, which I think most people probably do, you're going to want to get a respirator. But other than that, that's pretty much all there is to it. Spray booths are great. I admit, when I first started airbrushing, I think maybe for the first month or so, I was airbrushing outside, and some people do airbrush outside. But if you're airbrushing outside, inevitably you do have to deal with Mother Nature. So, and she can be very, very hard to deal with sometimes. Rain, wind, humidity, extreme heat, extreme cold, a lot of not fun stuff. So the day I got a Mr. Super booth and started painting indoors, it was a relief, because it's just so nice to be working on Gunpla and look out the window and it's a horrible thunderstorm and you think to yourself, man, I'm really glad I'm not out there in that. So I guess that about wraps up the spray booth video for this airbrush tutorial video series. And I think in part 3 we will start going over the different types of paint, how to thin them for the airbrush, and actually loading up the airbrush and getting started. So with that, I'll see you guys next time.